The last thing you want to hear when applying the brakes is a grinding sound. The normal squeaking that happens when the pads are worn is frequently less concerning than this. Additionally, the noise level can get so high that you start to get strange looks from other drivers. What is causing this grinding sound when you brake, and is there anything you can do about it? In this video, we go over the potential causes of the brakes grinding. You will decide whether it is safe to drive with grinding brakes at the end of the video. It's the Car Problems YouTube channel. Subscribe and let's get started. Worn brake pads. You will hear grinding when the brake pads have worn down too much. Copper, brass, graphite, or steel are the materials used to make the pad. The grinding sound is caused by the metal backing becoming visible as this material deteriorates. However, this sound is preceded by warning. There will be a squeaking or squealing sound when the brakes first fail. You might never hear the grinding if you can swap them out before it gets any worse. Depending on the type you select, brake pads can last anywhere from 25,000 to 60,000 miles. Broken brake pad shims against rotor. A grinding sound may also be produced by broken brake shims. Other parts of the brake system, usually the rotor, come into contact with worn-out shims. There is a grinding sound when the metal comes into contact with other metal. Because of this, new shims will be installed along with the brakes. You may encounter difficulties if they are overlooked. Stone stuck between rotor and caliper. There may be a problem with the pads if the grinding or screeching sound persists, even when you are not braking. In actuality, the caliper might be jammed with debris, like a stone. This stone will cause additional harm to the disc brakes if it is not removed. Sometimes simply moving the car will cause the stuck object to come loose on its own. If not, you can try moving the object back and forth to get it out of the way. Rusty or worn brake rotor. When the calipers squeeze the brake pads together, the flat metal discs known as the brake rotors help slow down the car. Water and dirt eventually seep into the rotor, causing warping or rusting. You may hear grinding when the brake rotors are worn. The rotor might need to be replaced, but it can sometimes be resurfaced. Fortunately, the rotors typically outlast the brake pads. A set of rotors should last you between 50,000 and 70,000 miles on average. You haven't driven your car in a while. You might be wondering why your car's brakes would grind if you don't drive it very often. You haven't driven far enough to wear down the pads after all. Sitting still may be the root of your issue because it will cause rust. After you leave the car sitting, the brake system noise will only be the beginning of your problems. The battery may die, flat spots may appear on the tires, and fluids may begin to leak. It's best to drive the car at least once a week, because you might have to deal with a long list of issues. Low-quality brake pads. When it comes time to purchase new brake pads, it makes sense that you would like to save money. However, you might end up creating more issues in the process of trying to save money. You might have to put up with more noise than you anticipated if you select subpar pads. Performance brakes contain less metal than cheap pads. They are therefore more vulnerable to grinding and scraping. Organic brake pads are typically the least expensive and of the lowest quality. Fibers, fiberglass, and Kevlar with resin can all be used to make them. Semi-metallic brakes are superior because they are more durable and produce less noise. Ceramic brake pads, on the other hand, are thought to be the best, but they are expensive. What happens if you don't fix grinding brakes? You might not have brakes when you need them most if the rotors or brake pads fail. The grinding is an indication that there is a serious issue with the braking system that requires your attention. You run the risk of further harming the crucial braking parts if you ignore the repair. When braking, you should always be concerned if you hear a grinding noise. The purpose of this warning sound is to try to warn you of danger. It's best to take care of any issues right away, whether you need new brake pads installed, rotors resurfaced, or something stuck out of the system removed. Otherwise, when your brakes malfunction, you might find yourself in a very bad situation. Most brake problems are easily fixed with the correct diagnosis. Some of the tasks could even be completed in your home garage if you have the necessary equipment and a little know-how. Installing new brake pads on a car is a challenge that most do-it-yourself mechanics relish. However, if you feel that the job is too much for you, there's nothing wrong with asking for additional assistance. The fact that everyone stays safe while driving is ultimately what matters most. Hope the information was helpful for you. If so, please press the like button and subscribe to the channel.